Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take a whole bunch of sources articles, research expert takes, and boil them down to what really matters.
Our goal is simple: get you well-informed, fast.
We want to share the most important nuggets of knowledge, maybe some surprising facts, and yeah, just enough humor to keep you hooked.
Think of us as your guides through the noise.
And today, we're diving deep into something that, well, a lot of us feel a whisper of, but it often seems kind of elusive in our busy lives.
Yeah.
Spiritual awakening. Our mission here is to really shed some light on this pretty profound and, let's be honest, often misunderstood process.
We'll guide you through the material, looking at what it truly is, what sets it off, and the kind of deep transformation it can bring.
You know that feeling, right? That sort of low hum of discontent, the sense that maybe we're just going through the motions.
Yeah, living on autopilot.
Exactly. Like you're following a script someone else wrote, maybe society, parents, the media, or even just your own fears.
It's that sleepwalker existence some of the sources talk about.
Right. Where routine gets mistaken for meaning and being comfortable feels like having a purpose.
And our identity gets all wrapped up in things outside ourselves.
Like your job title or how many followers you have or, keeping up with the latest fashion. It's just checking boxes day after day.
Without really feeling alive.
Yeah. Have you ever felt that little whisper inside, that nagging sense that something's not quite right, that maybe there's just more than the daily grind?
You know, that quiet discomfort, that feeling you just described, that's often the very first crack in the illusion. The routine that felt safe suddenly starts to feel, well, suffocating. Maybe even laughter sounds a bit hollow. And it's not always like clinical depression, though it can feel similar sometimes. Our sources suggest it's often awakening, just disguised as unease.
Awakening in disguise. I like that.
It's your soul stirring, giving you a little nudge, urging you to pay attention, to maybe recognize that the life you're living feels smaller than what you sense is possible.
A longing for something deeper.
Exactly. A richer, more profound experience.
And that's precisely what we're digging into today. Spiritual awakening. And just to be clear, this isn't about being woke in that trendy way, right?
Not at all. Or joining a specific religion.
Right. Our deep dive shows it's much more personal, a really profound shift inside you, which then changes how you see everything outside.
Precisely. It's a journey from, you could say, the unconscious to the conscious.
Okay.
And today, we'll help you navigate that. We'll start by really defining what spiritual awakening means, trying to get past those common ideas that might box it in.
Good.
Then we'll look at the triggers, and they're incredibly diverse. Could be something totally mundane or something absolutely life-shattering.
Wow. Okay.
From there, we'll explore the common stages or phases. It's complex and definitely not a straight line.
Right, not linear.
Yeah. And we'll help you spot the signs. Maybe you're going through it yourself.
That would be helpful.
And finally, we'll talk about the transformation. It brings this sense of freedom in how you think and living much more authentically.
Okay, let's unpack that term then. Spiritual awakening. What does it actually mean when we peel back the layers?
Good question. Because, yeah, some people might picture meditating monks or instant bliss.
Right, like reaching some perfect state.
But the sources paint a picture that's much more, well, human, more grounded.
Okay.
At its heart, it's described as that moment you can step back, kind of wake up to your life, with a totally new sense of being in the world.
So it's less about adopting new beliefs.
Yeah, or a new philosophy. It's more about a fundamental shift in your perception itself, how you see things.
It's a really key distinction, isn't it?
It is. It's not just an intellectual thing you figure out. It's an experiential shift in consciousness that alters our perception of reality.
You don't just think differently, you experience differently.
Exactly. Carl Jung, the psychiatrist, he described it as coming back to the original self.
Coming back so it's something already there.
That's the implication. It's not something new you gain, but maybe remembering something innate, something buried under layers of, conditioning, trauma, ego.
Like finding a song that's always been playing softly in the background?
That's a great way to put it.
But that initial moment, it can be a bit unnerving, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Mildly unnerving is putting it mildly sometimes.
Because it forces those huge questions on you. Who am I? Why am I here? What's the point?
Yeah. Everything you thought was solid ground suddenly feels like maybe it was just an illusion.
You can feel really lost, disconnected from your old life.
Totally. But then as you kind of navigate that disorientation, it often gives way to this incredible sense of wonder, excitement even.
Like you're truly alive for the first time.
Yes. Like the world suddenly has more color, more depth, more texture than you ever noticed before.
Wow.
It's about going beyond your ego, as the sources say, and moving towards new horizons.
Towards greater self-realization.
Exactly. Understanding your true nature. The ego, which usually defines us by our job, our status, our successes or failures, it starts to loosen its grip.
But it's not about achieving perfection.
Right.
Or constant happiness.
Absolutely not. The sources are clear on that. It's about transformation and becoming conscious of your real, actual, and present reality.
Waking up from the dream of ego-centered living.
That's it. It can be painful, stripping away what's fake or shallow, but ultimately, it's liberating. It reveals the raw truth of who you are right now.
So if it's such a big shift, what actually kicks it off? Can you, plan for it? Put it on your calendar?
Wouldn't that be nice? But no, it's rarely something you can schedule.
Yeah.
Often, as one source graphically puts it, they lurch into your life and shake everything up like tornadoes.
Whoa, tornadoes.
Yeah, turns your world upside down. The triggers can be anything, really, from the completely mundane to the completely life-altering.
Mundane even, like what?
Could be anything, really. But ultimately, as one expert, Tanya Carroll Richardson, explains, it's anything that encourages or forces you to look at your life from a more spiritual perspective.
That's the key.
Anything that forces you to look deeper. Okay, so what are some common ones? The sources must list some biggies.
Oh, they do. Major life changes and traumas are huge accelerators.
Like losing a job, that forces a rethink of identity, right?
Absolutely. Or moving away from home, leaving familiar comforts. Then there are the really jarring events.
Car accidents, divorce.
Yeah, or bigger things like war, pandemics, things that shake everyone up and make us question reality.
Even things like a midlife crisis or struggles with depression or anxiety.
Definitely. Those can be powerful triggers, pushing you to seek deeper meaning when the old ways just aren't working anymore.
In near-death experiences, I imagine those are often catalysts.
Frequently mentioned, yes. A direct fast track sometimes.
But it's not always negative stuff, is it?
No, not at all. Relationships are huge triggers too.
How so? Well, the sources talk about connections like twin flames or soulmates.
Ah, the intense ones.
Right. They can apparently open a spiritual door for you.
Yeah.
Not just romantic partners, but these deep, maybe challenging connections that mirror you intensely.
Forcing you to confront your patterns.
Exactly. Kicking open a door you didn't know was there. Or, more commonly maybe, just deep but challenging soulmate or karmic relationships.
Because they bring stuff to the surface.
Precisely. Unresolved issues, limiting beliefs, facing them leads to massive growth.
Makes sense. What about just internal stuff, like your personality?
Yes, that too. Some people are just naturally contemplative, or introspective spiritual wanderers. They're already looking deeper.
Or maybe sensitive empaths, people who feel things more deeply.
Exactly. They might be more receptive to sensing what's beneath the surface. For them, the seeds might already be there, just waiting for the right conditions to bloom.
So it can come from within, too.
Definitely. And then there's the really subtle start. Simple curiosity. Yeah. Sometimes it just begins with a conversation that shifts your perspective slightly, or reading a book that just clicks with something inside you.
A fleeting moment of inspiration. Or even a movie.
Totally. Something that makes you see life differently, maybe through a new lens. These small things can plant a seed of awareness that just grows and grows.
Wow, it's amazing how diverse the triggers are, from huge crises to just reading a book.
It really is.
Right.
But whether it's a massive upheaval or a gentle nudge,
Underlying purpose is the same.
right, anything that gets you to look at life more spiritually, more deeply, to break through the complacency.
You mentioned even neurochemical triggers.
Yeah, the British Psychological Society talks about that. Linked to certain life events, suggesting a physiological shift can actually compel us to confront things we've avoided and seek meaning, especially after major stress or change.
Fascinating. Like your friend you mentioned, after losing someone.
Exactly. She said, I couldn't go back. I was broken, yes, but also waking up. She wasn't just asking why it happened, but what's next for her.
That really captures it.
Yeah.
How loss can shatter your old world and force you onto a new path.
Yeah. It shows how the awakening itself is really just the beginning.
Right. It sounds much more like a journey, a process, not just one single event.
It absolutely is. Awakening is just step one on a path that can be long, complex, very personal.
But there are common stages, like a map.
There are, yeah. While it's complex, multi-layered, different for everyone, The sources offer common stages or levels that help make sense of it.
A helpful framework.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But remember, it's often a cyclical journey, not linear, A to B.
You might revisit stages.
Yeah, go deeper, clear more layers each time, like spiraling down a well.
Okay, so what does this journey look like? Where does it usually start?
It often starts in what the sources call the sleepwalker state.
Life before awakening.
Right, where the soul's quiet, the mind's kind of running on scripts, you're playing a role, not really living.
Your thoughts feel borrowed, your dreams feel sold to you.
Yeah. Routine is meaning. Comfort is purpose. Identity comes from outside stuff, jobs, followers, fashion. Not much real questioning.
Just deadlines and distractions.
Maybe that faint whisper is there, but it gets drowned out. And the danger is that illusion starts to feel like home.
Until the cracks appear.
Exactly. The illusion starts to strain. That safe routine suddenly feels suffocating.
Laughter feels hollow. Goals seem pointless.
Something inside starts stirring. That discomfort, that shadow. It's not just burnout. It's that unease we talked about, awakening in disguise.
You start questioning, why am I doing this? Is this it?
Yeah. You see the masks, the emptiness, maybe realize you've been wearing one too. Your job, relationships, habits, they feel like cages.
And once that first crack appears,
the light gets in. Whether you feel ready or not, the spell starts to break.
And then comes the actual awakening. Reality shatters.
That's how it's often described. The veil is lifted. You see with your soul raw clarity.
Often triggered by something big. Tragedy. Betrayal.
Can be. Suddenly the world you knew just dissolves. You realize maybe the system is rigged or your beliefs were borrowed.
Everything you trusted feels like shifting sand.
It's disorienting, terrifying, but also liberating.
You start consuming different information, questioning authority.
Absolutely. Synchronicities pop up like crazy, patterns emerge everywhere, this deep knowing starts to wake up.
But it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
Definitely not. There's confusion, maybe paranoia, rage, grief for the lost illusions. You might even question your sanity.
Because you can't unsee it.
Exactly. Your mind might fight to go back to ignorance, but it's too late. The spell is broken.
Okay, so after that shattering, then what?
Then you typically entered the seeker phase, or the sponge.
The sponge.
Yeah, because there's no going back, the world feels alien, and you're desperate for answers, consuming everything.
Diving headfirst into ancient texts, meditation, psychedelics maybe?
All of it. Hidden histories, astrology, energy work, obscure philosophies.
Yeah.
Binging spiritual videos at 3 a.m., journaling like mad, fasting, praying, crying.
A phase of obsession. A beautiful madness.
That's how it's put. Trying everything on for size, seeing what resonates, asking, who are we? Why? What is truth?
But there's a danger here, too. The ego creeping back in.
Subtly, yeah. Dressed in spiritual robes, maybe labeling yourself starseed, chosen one, collecting rituals like trophies.
Looking down on others still asleep.
It can happen. But underneath all that, something sacred is taking root. You're starting to seek yourself within.
And then comes the tough part. The dark night of the soul.
Yes. Often described as a very rough patch. The lowest patch, in fact.
When all the seeking doesn't seem to help anymore.
Exactly. Books, crystals, meditation, nothing works. You feel lost, empty, disconnected from yourself, from the universe.
Questioning everything again, but with pain, not curiosity.
Right. Spiritual desolation. It's a spiritual breakdown. Old beliefs collapse, relationships fall apart, nothing makes sense.
Deep depression, anxiety, feeling punished or abandoned.
Can feel like that, but really it's described as purification. Yeah. The ego dying, clearing out everything fake, shallow, inauthentic. It's brutal, isolating, but necessary.
Taking off the old clothes to put on new ones.
Precisely. After that storm, what's left is raw, real, ready for something deeper.
Okay, so after the darkness comes the light. Illumination.
Or expanding consciousness, yeah. The period of breakthrough, dissolving shadows, releasing the ego, leads to experiences of illumination.
So it's more than just knowing your true nature.
It's honoring it, embodying it, integrating it. You start experiencing the truths you uncovered.
Like seeing a sunset and truly feeling connected.
Exactly. Or noticing you react differently to old triggers. The past loses its grip.
Glimpses of divine love, oneness.
Can happen, yeah. Showing you're more than your thoughts or roles. It brings this profound peace, a sense of belonging.
And following that illumination comes integration.
Crucial phase, also called inner peace and surrender, or soul sessions.
This is where you stop chasing and start living it.
Right. The frantic need to be spiritual fades. You just want to be real, authentic.
Finding balance. Blending inner wisdom with daily life.
Yes. Meditation isn't just a ritual, it's how you handle traffic calmly, respond to work challenges, listen deeply. Compassion becomes natural.
Building a life structure that supports your true spirit.
Making practical changes. And releasing any remaining ego structures or beliefs holding you back.
Letting go of control, seeking approval.
Yeah. And this profound acceptance washes over you. Realizing peace isn't something to chase, it's always been there, underneath the noise.
True freedom begins here.
It really does.
And the final stage, or maybe the ongoing evolution, unity consciousness.
Or awareness and service, living in alignment. This is where you genuinely stop seeing yourself as separate.
From the world, from others. Trees, stars, silence. It's all connected.
Exactly. It's all one. No separate ego running the show, needing to prove itself or control things.
You don't just talk about peace, you are peace.
You embody it. Full awareness of your own divinity, flowing through life with grace, clarity.
Finding purpose and service, which brings happiness.
Great happiness and contentment, yes. Integrating all that hard-won wisdom, the line between spiritual and ordinary just dissolves.
Navigating life with quiet confidence, trusting the process.
Knowing joy comes naturally from just being.
That's a beautiful description of the whole journey. But what does it actually look like day to day? What are the signs someone might notice?
Great question. Because it shows up in so many ways, emotional, psychological, even physical.
It's complex, confusing, lonely sometimes.
But also supremely beautiful. And while everyone's path is unique, there are common threads, common signals.
Okay, let's break some down. Emotionally, psychologically.
Yeah.
What's a big one?
A key one is feeling disconnected or lost. Suddenly feeling disconnected and detached from things, people you used to enjoy.
Feeling completely lost and alone, existentially.
Yes. Struggling to relate to old friends, finding conversations shallow. This often leads to wanting to be alone more.
Needing solitude to process it all.
Exactly, to recalibrate that inner compass.
And alongside that, you start reevaluating beliefs.
Big time. Questioning everything you were taught. Realizing maybe many beliefs aren't yours, but inherited from your culture.
Seeing through societal illusions you never noticed before.
Your priorities shift away from external validation towards real meaning.
Okay, what else?
Often, increased empathy and compassion. As your awareness expands, you feel a deeper connection to suffering human, animal, planetary.
It becomes more visceral, less intellectual.
Yes. Feeling called of service, wanting to make the world a better place, it becomes part of your purpose.
But it's not all positive feelings, is it? There's anxiety and depression, too.
Often, yes. Deep bouts of existential depression or persistent anxiety. It's the shock and disorientation.
Sometimes even misdiagnosed.
It can be, when it's actually a spiritual crisis. Uncertainty, confusion, fear of the unknown are common as your old world dissolves.
Okay, what about changes in perception or intuition?
Heightened intuition is a really common sign. Suddenly feeling much more tuned in, maybe noticing new intuitive abilities.
Like sensing when someone's being fake.
Yeah, being able to sense inauthenticity and manipulation and trusting your gut feeling much more.
And you mentioned synchronicities and déjà vu.
They become way more frequent. Mind-blowing synchronicities. Thinking of someone, then running into them. Seeing repeating numbers like 11.11.
Angel numbers.
Right. Life feels more interactive, like the universe is communicating.
And vivid dreams, too.
Yes. Dream life gets more intense, more meaningful, often giving guidance.
Interesting. What about physical senses?
Heightened senses are common. Being more tuned into the present moment can make you more sensitive.
Like brighter lights seem too bright, or sounds are more annoying?
Exactly. Like your internal antenna got an upgrade.
Makes sense. And then big shifts in behavior and lifestyle.
Definitely. Relationships change. Some loved ones just don't get it, leading to distancing.
But you might meet new people who resonate more.
Often, yes. Forming more authentic connections. And there's a big shift in priorities and habits.
Spirituality or the inner journey becomes central?
Yeah. Prioritizing meditation, nature time, consciously ditching old habits that don't serve you anymore. A real sudden change in routine.
This often leads to a thirst for authenticity, doesn't it?
A powerful one. A strong desire to live an authentic life. You just hate pretense, faking it.
Wanting to purge your life of anything inauthentic.
Exactly. Toxic people, old habits, even physical clutter. You just can't tolerate fakeness anymore.
And finally, a newfound curiosity and purpose often emerges.
Yes, like a childlike wonder returns. Wanting to explore, learn, feeling drawn to your purpose, wanting to know who you are and what you're here to do.
leading to finding ways to help others contribute something meaningful.
Exactly. Aligning with that emerging authentic desire.
Now, you mentioned potential physical symptoms. We should touch on those carefully.
Right. And it's important to stress these can happen, but aren't guaranteed and vary a lot.
Things like fatigue, brain fog.
Yeah, fatigue that rest doesn't fix, brain fog, weird bodily sensations like tingling or pressure, changed sleep patterns, vivid dreams.
Dizziness, weight changes, new food intolerances.
Fluctuations in energy, changes in sex drive, even maybe temporarily lower immune function. The list some sources give is quite long.
Okay, but here's the crucial bit. While these can be signs, they could absolutely be a sign of a medical condition.
Absolutely critical point.
Please, everyone listening, don't just write them off as nothing. If you have concerning physical symptoms, see a doctor.
Always. Get professional medical advice. We're exploring spiritual ideas, not giving health advice.
Right. But overall, these signs, even the tough ones, they're signals, aren't they?
Signals that your soul needs to grow, mature, and expand on a human level. Signposts showing something profound is happening, guiding you towards a more authentic life.
Okay, so we've got triggers, signs. What's the ultimate result? This transformation. What does it lead to?
It all culminates in this profound transformation, characterized by freedom of thought and authentic living. The whole process fundamentally challenges everything you thought to be true.
That freedom of thought. That sounds powerful. It means questioning the lies and illusions.
Yes. Realizing maybe a lot of what you've been taught is a lie, or at least distorted.
Seeing through things, media, politics, even your own stories about yourself.
Yeah.
Recognizing beliefs were borrowed.
Exactly. Seeing maybe the system is rigged in ways you didn't perceive. It's jarring, like seeing behind the curtain, but ultimately
Liberating, because you're not bound by those old narratives anymore.
Precisely. Which leads to breaking social conditioning.
Gaining the ability to question old beliefs, habits, the programming we get from birth.
Yes, you stop confusing routine for meaning, comfort for purpose. You recognize true fulfillment isn't just about external stuff.
Less swayed by pressure, fads, expectations, more tuned into your inner compass.
Exactly. Genuine inner freedom.
And as that inner work deepens, authentic living becomes the natural outcome.
It does. It involves bravely shedding the ego and its masks.
Stripping away that constructed self.
Yeah. Allowing you to drop ego identification, returning to your birthless and deathless true nature. There's such relief in it.
You just hate faking and putting on the old masks.
They don't fit anymore, and you don't have the energy to maintain them.
And shedding those masks creates space.
To embody your true nature, to recognize, honor, and embody it through your unique gifts and talents.
Not getting new skills, but remembering and expressing what's always been there.
Exactly. Becoming more comfortable in your own skin, competent in your natural abilities. It's integrating who you are at your core.
Living from self-acceptance.
Yes. And with that clarity often comes living your purpose.
Understanding your direction. Aligning actions with true intention.
Feeling drawn towards your purpose and driven to work towards it. Finding real joy and fulfillment in that alignment. Knowing you're contributing something that resonates.
And all this leads to inner peace and surrender.
Eventually, yes. As you let go of that relentless urge to control, to prove yourself, to seek approval, this profound sense of acceptance washes over you.
Surrendering not to defeat, but to the flow of life.
Trusting the unfolding. That's where true freedom begins. Realizing peace isn't out there to be chased.
It's always been here beneath the noise.
Always. The peace of resting in your true nature.
It really does sound like that Matrix analogy, the red pill versus the blue pill.
It's a good one. Comfortable ignorance or the painful but liberating path of waking up.
This transformation, even though it starts rough, it's ultimately about growth, love, transformation, and freedom.
Finding your true home right here, inside yourself.
So as we wrap this up, it seems like the core idea isn't becoming someone new,
but rediscovering who you have always been, a process of remembering who we are.
like Jung's coming back to the original self, accessing our true nature that is already and always here.
A self that, as the sources say, goes beyond all thought, belief, idea, memory, or mental construct.
Who you are isn't defined by your mind or your history. It's deeper, bigger.
And through this process, that separate sense of you, the egoic consciousness, is dying, revealing more of who you truly are.
It's through that unraveling, which can be uncomfortable,
that you find the peace, love, and freedom you have always longed for, which was, ironically, always within reach.
So, a final thought then. If awakening is returning to our true nature, And the journey is cyclical, not linear. What does that mean for us going forward?
Are we ever really done awakening?
Or is it more like an ongoing dance with those deeper parts of ourselves? A constant unfolding into greater awareness?
What insights, what understandings might still be waiting just beneath the surface of our everyday lives?
Waiting for us to remember who we truly are. Something to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into spiritual awakening. We really hope this conversation offered some clarity, maybe sparked some personal recognition.
Or just provided some insight into what can be a really profound, transformative journey.
We encourage you to reflect on these ideas, see how they might resonate with your own life.
Or perhaps just ignite a little curiosity as you navigate your own unique path.
Unbox religion.
Thank you for
Awaken the
joining
mind.
us on Dharma Podcast. May these conversations inspire you to question, to seek, and to awaken. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and continue the journey with us. Until next time, unbox religion. Awaken the mind.